As an oracle, as a psychic, and someone who has done thousands of psychic readings, which is amazing to believe, to realize, to just like come to the realization. I've done at least over 5,000 psychic readings over the last few years, and I stopped counting because it just felt like a weird thing to keep counting. But I'm sure at some point I'll be able to sort of track the threshold of when it would cross to be, 7 or 10,000 or whatever. But 5,000 psychic readings, let's be honest, that's a lot. That's a lot of tuning in. That's a lot of different energies. That's a lot of quick insights and sharp insights, clear seeing, clear feeling, clear knowing, clear communicating, hopefully the best I can. And so after, having so many years of doing this type of work, it is so natural for me to just assume that intuition is something people are tapping into and it is fairly useful, even though I know logically that that's not the case. So people will ask me, like, as the year starts, like, what's coming ahead or what do you see for next year? And I think, oh, yeah, we're just having a chit chat, like, so natural to think of in this way. But a lot of people I realize don't actually think in that future looking way, and it can be really intimidating. So I really think, truly, if I were to answer that the best way, I never answer it this way, but I ought to now, is that it actually really depends on whether you're willing to listen. Because you can live a totally standard, comfortable, uncomfortable existence, and you can live a year where you do not follow your intuition. You can live a year where you are questioning everything and acting in no way towards your goals. You can live a year where you listen and you think, I'll wait for the right time. And you can live your entire year around people, situations, and circumstances that you have absolutely outgrown and do not thrive in, and you don't feel like yourself. And you can just accept that. You can accept that and you can keep going. And that is what a lot of people do. That is what most people do. And not everyone even will realize that that's what they're doing. They'll just say, this is how life is. But if you're here, you know that life is a little bit more spectacular and more magical than that. And it's a little bit different. So let's think about this differently. And I just made another video about going into this year feeling like this could be a very different year. So what if, wild thought, what if this wasn't a year where you just go into another self-help spiral and cycle and you look at all your problems and everything going wrong and you just stare at all the things that you don't like? What if it wasn't one of those? What if it was not a year where you focused on fixing yourself or on escaping what reality actually is, and you became really present and really clear, and you actually felt grounded and you made good decisions that were in alignment with your intuition? Like, just picture what that would actually feel like a year from now, if that's the way you acted. Think of what a year from now would actually feel like if you weren't just focusing on your problems and your self-help and fixing everything that's going wrong. I don't think that actually as much is also going wrong as we make it out to be sometimes. Our minds are really good at trying to create a system to protect us, and we know that, right? And so it's important to recognize the limitations of your own perception. It's hard for you to see with a total open mind because your brain is naturally going to want to add in protective, moves. And I really feel this year is one that can matter to humanity in a big way. And I don't want to go sensational about that idea, because every year is important, of course. Every day is important. Every minute is important. When I look at what's happening collectively, and I look at the number of this being a 1 year, and I look at the energy of it being a fire horse year, a year that only happens once every 60 years. And I think about what was happening 60 years ago in humanity. We're going to have some stuff going on. We're going to have the shakeup and the results of shaking up, and we're going to have some extra high level completion still happening in the next year. And at the same time, there's going to be these big rumbles, these big strides forward. I see a lot of sprinting energy next year, but not necessarily out of breath, but sprinting forward and really racing towards with like the wind behind you, picking up speed. Because I really feel like a lot of people are choosing, I've been seeing this online, that people are choosing to try and embrace like analog and slower ways and more connective ways and truly more feminine ways, not female, but feminine energy of like bringing things in and actually slowing down and nurturing and making sure things feel sustainable and doable. Like, does your work life feel sustainable and doable? Are you taking care of your body, of your people? Are you expressing love, and are you slowing down to enjoy the little moments with people? And I think also there's a lot of disillusionment happening on the global and larger field. So people are really sick of extra noise, and there's like too much going on. It almost just becomes a white noise buzz. And then what happens through the filter of that? Once we filter out this, okay, it all sort of, we got all these different messages, and then suddenly it just, right? There's only what we know and the full truth. Whereas right now, if you're feeling bombarded, if you're noticing this, like, what the heck, things are weird, you might be seeing a lot of half effort, half answers. You might be seeing and noticing a lot more in your like friends or coworkers or family, people ignoring what they already know and people denying what they already see. I've been seeing a lot of that as this year comes to a close, noticing a lot more like, here's where I'm denying what I already know, but also, okay, there's a lot of people really ignoring and or moving past, like avoiding what they have already admitted that they know. So I feel like this year is a big one, because when people are listening this year, they're going to have that forward movement, forward momentum, like wind at their back. And so you'll be able to trust what you're seeing because you're able to be present. That change is going to happen for so many more people this year because the energy is aligned for us to be able to have that, versus this past year where it felt like a lot had to leave and let go. And so it was a lot of just like trying to process physically grief and change and uprootedness and instability and challenge, adversity, and all these things. And also old habits, old patterns, and what we are leaving behind for sure, for sure. So OracleFest, and the reason that I believe it still needs to exist year upon year, and why it's starting now, last year, but also now, is because if we collectively can take our intuition more seriously, but also more lightly, but if we can take it and actually value the oracles, the mystics, the creatives, artists, healers, therapists, thinkers, teachers, sages, wisdom keepers, elders, if we can choose to value what this receptivity brings, and we choose to gather year upon year, this January 30th to February 2nd time, in bulk time, when we can choose to gather and reflect inwardly and receive very deeply for ourselves, it sets us up for a really beautiful year of rippling out change and waving out to all the people that are in our lives. So when we're in real life situations like your work or your relationships, or you're in a position of leadership somewhere in your community, you don't have to like try and be spiritual. You just have to be yourself, because you trust that that intuition, that inner oracle within you is already turned on, because we've spent the time doing it. We've actually had the experience together doing that. And I know that there can feel like there's so much going on online. And I also believe that OracleFest Online and similar events, although I haven't seen anything really similar to this energy, and I hear that from speakers all the time. Speakers tell me often that they're like not normally signing up for these things, but they see an email come through from me and they feel my energy when we speak. And it's like, we understand there's something deeper here. There's something beyond me, beyond them, beyond you and all of us, but that includes every single one of us who comes across this feed, that is like this really raw, clear, energetic invitation to do things differently and to allow things to feel more real for all of us. And so I know that online sometimes can feel like, oh, there's too much happening online. But if you trust what I'm saying here and you like this energy and you feel it, I highly encourage you to consider, because it is more affordable than taking trips out or doing different things like that to try and engage spiritually with this listening. You're able to be in the comfort of your own home, make the foods you want while this whole weekend is going on. Oracle Fest is January 30th to February 2nd. You can take some time out in your schedule even. We had people last year who booked it off as if it was like a solo private retreat for themselves. And I totally understand why. And I'm really grateful that they did, because it allowed them to engage with it in much more deep and activating way. And it was really beautiful to see what came out of that for them as well. So I know that there's a lot out there. I also know the Oracle Fest is really different. It feels different than any other event I've seen out there online. And we are moving to in-person events. But before we do that, I really want to know that we've done our best to reach out to people who are sitting in their home somewhere, hoping for deeper spiritual connection, community, movement, and inward practice in a way that is open and experiential and will really help you drop into feeling and sensing and knowing and trusting your intuition more deeply than ever before. So if you're feeling any type of draw towards Oracle Fest, towards my energy, towards the speakers who are joining us, maybe just towards a shift, you don't really know what that looks like, I highly encourage you to go get your ticket for Oracle Fest. Trust the pull. That's how this begins, or that's how this will continue or deepen. And you can join live for the 4-day watch only. You can join for the full complete, and you get all the replays, and you'll get reminders as the year goes on to go and watch those replays. So it's not just replays you forget about. We'll also say, hey, maybe this week you look at this video. And so we will give you those reminders. And you can split either of those two options up in payment installments through Klarna or Afterpay. So just once you get to the checkout screen, if you have any problems, just message us. Or you can also choose to be part of Oracle Fest year round, all access to everything. We're going to have events every single month. We're going to have workshops, more podium events. We're going to have so many opportunities. The Trusting Your Visions journey, we're going to also bring back. That Star All Access Pass is only $77 a month for the year. And so that is also an option for you if you are really feeling and believing in what is happening here and you're looking for it to be split up more. But even if you just split up the 333 full 4-day replay access, that only becomes around $80 Canadian per month for 4 months. And I think you could even break it down even further if you go check out the option. So that's everything I wanted to share, I think, today. I hope you all have a beautiful transition into this new calendar year, and we will chat soon.